Kochie's Business Builders is proudly brought to you by our partners Dell, KPMG and QBE, who are helping small businesses grow.
Coming up on Kochie's Business Builders, it's the sweet smell of success for the founder of Mr. Rose's. Saint and Sinner uncorked their plans for national distribution, plus how to give your customers the ultimate unboxing experience. G'day and welcome to another episode of Kochie's Business Builders, where we look at the issues facing small business owners and help them with practical advice, inspiring stories and tips to help them succeed. Joining me today's co-host is Nicola Morass. If you want to take your business from invisible to visible, then Nicola has the advice that matters. She's helped thousands of entrepreneurs and business owners find their place in the spotlight, and she's a big believer in harnessing a business owner's expertise, authority and authenticity to grow their brand. Nicola, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Look, you have done it all. What's your best advice to business owners to get that cut through?
One of the really big things that's going to help people to stand out is finding a way to harness the thing that makes them stand out and really be different. And one of the big things that people can look at is around their energy and how they're presenting online and in local marketing as well. So everybody is different, and a lot of people just don't know, I suppose, how to pull that out, how to really articulate what makes them different in a marketplace. So that's the first place to start.
So what's your advice to business owners in terms of getting onto social media and building their brand through it?
Number one, you need to do it. The second thing is to not always have the same types of content going up over and over again. People know these days if you're doing copy and paste things, or if you're only ever using templated content and things like that. So it's okay to use some of those things because we're all time poor, we're all juggling many responsibilities in our businesses and in our lives. But the thing that can't be faked is you and where you're coming from and the behind the scenes things. So sharing in the moment snapshots, but being regular and consistent about it and sharing your stories.
Nicola, thanks for that. Some terrific tips. Now, I'd love to get your thoughts on our next business, Saint and Sinner. They're an alcoholic kombucha brand founded by Wollongong locals, the Lord family. As a challenger brand, they face issues getting their product accepted into the big bottle shops, and brand recognition is still a major problem. So, Nicola, what would you suggest for them to do to build their brand?
Make sure they're on all platforms. So one of the things to be aware of is that people in different markets are going to look for them in different places. So you've got to be on Facebook, you've got to be on Instagram, you probably need to be on Pinterest, and make sure that your website is also consistent along with all of that branding. The other thing that they need to have a look at is making sure that they're not only putting out beautifully perfect curated content. We want to see some of that real life in the moment things, and that's really great for places like Facebook and Instagram. And then that way, if people are seeing that things are fun and that it's creating that sense of, I want to be a part of this and I really love their story, that's going to help build their brand, build their following, and then that's going to help people talk about them.
They are great tips. Well, we paired Saint and Sinner up with KBB expert Troy Douglas, the founder of Nexba, to pick his brain for some top tips to their problems. Let's see how they got on.
Linda, Peter, thanks for coming to Nexba HQ.
Oh, thanks for having us. Good to see you again.
Yeah, this is so great and very impressive. Well done.
So talk to us. What's been happening since we last saw each other?
I think the session with you reminded us of the opportunities and the potentials, but also the need to start really having a clear strategy around distribution and being strategic about our approach. So the excitement and the energy we got from our time with you led to some really great strategic sessions, which Pete can tell you more about, but it was so great and it's just inspired us even more.
What we've done is we've reflected probably over the last 12 months where we've been and then been able to take that conversations that we had and then peel that back and then start to look at, okay, how do we then consolidate in certain areas and geographic locations to be able to really penetrate those areas before we go further afield?
Yeah, I think building that proof point and that, I guess, sales story about that success and that traction gives you, I guess, the tools and the ammunition to broader scale, get more traction.
And I think from that perspective, it also helps in terms of you don't have to try and be everything to everyone. You know, by being into the smaller areas, so your distribution becomes easier. You know, your relationships become better, and so you're not stretching too far. And then I think that as that grows, we'll then grow in other territories using that same model.
So have you guys identified any new sales opportunities since you spoke?
Yeah, we have. It's probably, again, from a strategy perspective, being able to then take not only the areas that we want to focus on, but also the products themselves. So, you know, we really want to come to market with the brown bottle to be able to distinguish, hey, this isn't a seltzer, it's actually kombucha. But now that our brand's starting to be known, we now need to look at what you guys have done and come out in the slim cans. I think that'll be really good for areas such as festivals, poolside bars and the like there that don't really want to have glass.
Yeah, and we've been asking questions of some of our target groups, particularly younger people. What is it you look for in an alcoholic drink? And it's very clear that, yes, there is an intent to drink alcohol, but they still want to have healthy choices and they want it to taste good.
So tell us, what's the response been since seeing the segment aired?
Well, it was really interesting. Even while the show was being aired, we were having, increased sales coming through. We've definitely had a spike in interest. More people commenting on our social media, asking questions, more interest. So it was really, I guess, an unexpected outcome, and it's been fantastic. So really grateful for that.
So last time we met, I know there was aspirations for international expansion and how to tackle that. Have you guys had any kind of further reflections on that context?
Yeah, we have. We've had some conversations with distributors overseas, and so there is some excitement there. But yeah, I'd love to sort of get an understanding from how you guys have really pushed that in the industry.
No, great question. Well, how about we go and have a chat in the boardroom and
Sounds great.
It out.
Hi everyone, my name's Natasha McNamara and I'm from Speakeasy. I help business owners and startups to present with more confidence. Today, I want you to start with a story. Why? 3 reasons. Stories light up the brain. They release a chemical called oxytocin, which builds trust and credibility. Number 2, human beings are led by emotions and we make decisions via our emotions. That's why stories are fantastic. Number 3, we remember stories because they're sticky, much more than those statistics, facts, and figures. So there you go, 3 reasons why you should use stories. Now, how do you want to tell a story? I'm going to share with you the Story Spine by Pixar. Okay, it's a plot, it's a beginning, a middle, and an end. Now, remember, people don't remember what you say. People don't remember what you do, but people remember how you made them feel. Maya Angelou, start with a story.
Hi, my name's Nick Brogden and I'm the founder of Earn Media. Whether you're a small local business covering a couple of suburbs or a national insurance company, your Google Business Profile is going to be an important marketing platform. The Google Business Profile provides your business with a highly visible page where you can add in lots of specialties such as service areas, information about your product or service offerings, photos and videos. Plus, it's likely the most trusted platform for people to read feedback left by your customers. Only 9% of people who see a business listing with a 1 or 2-star rating would consider engaging that business. So it's really important that you have a steady stream of reviews, not only to help you rank better in the search results, but also to ensure anyone researching you will be 100% confident to work with you. Something I've found to be a fantastic way to ensure you manage your review generation as effectively as possible is a software called Podium. Podium also provides the option to obtain reviews not only on Google, but also on Facebook and many other platforms, which keeps it simple as it notifies you when a review has been posted, so you can easily respond to any review from any platform in one location. A Can't stress enough how important it is to respond to reviews, as it's a strong SEO signal, but more importantly, it lets your customers know that you appreciate them leaving the reviews, which likely will result in you getting more reviews.
Hi, I'm Rupert from EUX Digital Agency, and we're here to share 3 hot tips on how to make the most out of your email marketing with MailChimp. So one tip which we can give about effective email marketing is there's a fine line between asking for data and not asking for enough data. So for example, if you can just ask for their email as a start, then when we move further down the track and you've built some loyalty with the customer, then you can delve a little bit further. You can ask for their email address, their location, their gender, etc. And that allows you to further segment the database down the track. So one of the ways that MailChimp can be used for advanced automations is, for example, it can look at a campaign you've sent previously, and based upon the results of that campaign and the open rate of the emails, it can then suggest and learn further down the track whether you should continue along that path. So one thing we've learned about subject lines is that the more creative you can be with your subject line, the more likely the customer is to open the email and engage with the email. There's lots of people email marketing these days, so to stand out from the crowd is super important. A tip would be to perhaps use an emoji or a cheeky subject line in order to get better engagement and better open rate from the customer. So one important takeaway that we can offer to small businesses is to test and then test again. You may think that you know that an emoji is going to work better over a non-emoji or a cheeky headline, but unless you actually test the results and break it down, then you're not actually going to be able to see that. So the most important thing is test, learn, test again.
Hi, I'm James Stevens, founder and CEO of Mr. Roses. Yeah, my first memory of being around flowers would definitely have been heading down to Mum and Dad's store at Town Hall Station, named Town Hall Florist, and I think I was all of 5 years of age, and just recall seeing flowers out the front of the store, and I still recall some of the prices, like 20 cents a bunch back then, so that was circa 1970. I attended markets from a very early age. I saw Dad and the way he conducted himself at the markets. I think I followed suit. I had a work colleague that mentioned that there was a flower store in New York that only sold roses. I actually gravitated to that immediately. I liked the idea, and we set up this business up in Chifley Plaza. That one business was just a single store, a tiny little store that had 12 phones out the back of it. So it was meant to be a telephone ordering business. Fundamentally, the origins of the Roses Only business were because I didn't want to have a bricks and mortar store. There's other things that come by virtue of not having a bricks and mortar store. We don't have to display flowers in the open air, which are typically dying before your eyes. So they're kept in cold storage till we need to actually pick, pack them and deliver them. 2 years ago, we started Mr. Roses. We started with a very, very basic plan of just delivering 12 roses in a box. We've added other flower lines to the repertoire. We now do sunflowers, beautiful lilies. On any given day, we're averaging 25% of customers that are returning back to the store, as in back to our online store. That's probably one of the metrics that I'm incredibly proud of, which will hold us in good stead to keep on growing. We're now able to service same day in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Perth and Newcastle, with an intent of also growing into Adelaide, possibly Canberra and various other cities. The fear of failure is probably my biggest reason why I'd like to think we may have succeeded. So perseverance in the face of the possibility of failure would have to be the single thing that I would obviously say to any budding entrepreneur. I suppose that's my little bit of advice.
Welcome back to Kochie's Business Builders. Have you mastered the art of the unboxing experience with your products? Well, let's hear from someone who has.
Hi, I'm Ashley Capamola, the owner and artist behind Ashley Studio. I specialise in customisable artwork of people, pets, family members. I also do textured artwork and event invites and stationery. For me, a really great unboxing experience is getting customers excited when they see that package arrive and straight away see that it's Ashley Studio, then unwrapping it to have that final artwork reveal. So my advice for any small business owners or content creators, it's really about getting your brand in that unboxing experience and really that anticipation for that final reveal of your product. I personally love to use Vista products that are different to what anyone else does. So for me, it's really printing my artwork on absolutely everything. So my mugs, my notepads, I use business cards as swing tags, greeting cards. It's also about that brand awareness and using products such as stickers, thank you cards. Sometimes I like to throw in a little bit of a freebie. For me, it's really taking a generic product and turning it into something special for your own brand.
Some fabulous tips there from Ashley. Now, Nicola, we're about to check back in with Saint and Sinner as they get some more advice from Troy Douglas on how they can tackle their distribution challenges.
As we've discussed, we'd like to expand internationally. What would be your #1 strategy for getting that started?
I think the biggest priority for any business planning to take their products overseas is to focus on ultimately what value you're going to provide for your partner, which in this case would become a distributor in a local market. So it's really about looking at every market in an isolation. What competitor products already exist over there? How can you stand out? What value could you offer that distributor who currently doesn't have an alcoholic kombucha?
So we're only 12 months into the journey then. Are you thinking perhaps we're looking at international too soon, or do you still think we should be moving ahead with that?
Yeah, ultimately I think it comes down to your long-term strategy for the business. Like, from Nexba's perspective, we've always had global aspirations for building the #1 naturally sugar-free brand globally, so we needed to go overseas. So it's about focusing, proving that traction, because it can help you roll out regionally. And if you took North America as an example, a lot of Australian brands will focus on the California market, which is 3 times the size of Australia in isolation, but it's ultimately starting there to then scale out from.
So Troy, we spoke about last time about that we've gone through the independent chains, and that's sort of been our route to market in the bottle shop game. You guys obviously have done a great job getting into the big retail side of things. How do you think we can transition out of going from independents into the bigger chains?
The key process and step is to make sure that your independents are winning. So you've got that narrative, you've got that story, that reason to believe, and then you can make that reason for a national retailer to say yes much more simple. Because you've got to remember what is it that you can offer that retailer and why should they take on your product? Are you going to provide incrementality to RTDs in that space because you're something different? Leverage off the fact that Nexba and other brands in the market are helping build kombucha and the awareness of that. And what Saint Sinner is extending, I guess, the Australian consumers' love for kombucha more broadly.
Did it take a while to identify, and maybe it's different for each product, who your target was? Who are you really selling this product to?
Absolutely. I thought I knew who my consumer was, and I remember going down to a local beach and everybody there was in a much older demographic that was loving and enjoying the Nexba. One thing that we've adapted is this attitudinal approach to the consumption of Nexba. Naturally sugar-free, there's many people that are going to be health advocates, and they're the people that are more health aware, and they'll naturally gravitate to your product.
Troy, it's been another great session with you. I think every time we sit together, we learn so many things. So thank you so much. We've got lots of things to think about and strategise about, and you just give us hope that, I look at what you've created and you must be so proud of what you've done with Nexba.
Thank you so much, Linda and Peter. I appreciate you coming out. We should say cheers over at Nexba this time.
Nicola, great advice from Troy there, and Saint Sinner, really good product to sell overseas, but you can't just pick up the Australian marketing strategy and plonk it elsewhere, can you?
You need to really be aware of what makes your market tick. So if they're looking at going international, is it the same target market that they're looking at? Do they feel the same? Do they want those same experiences? And I think one of the big things to have a look at is working out, again, what's going to build conversation and what's going to build engagement. What problems do people have and what do they really want over there? And when they're looking at that, you can then start to filter that into a cross strategy with what they're doing across all of their platforms.
All right. Thank you, Nicola, for joining us today. Really great to have you aboard. And remember, if you're looking for small business tips or the latest news and expert advice, then you can find them online at kochiesbusinessbuilders.com.au or follow Kochie's Biz on Facebook, LinkedIn, Insta and Twitter. We'll see you next time.